It started like any other night, the kind where silence felt heavier than the air itself. My wife was lying on her side, back turned to me, glowing blue from her phone screen. I stood in the doorway for a moment, trying to gather the courage to speak, trying to pretend this wasn't becoming our routine. I finally asked the question I already knew the answer to. "Are you coming to bed?" She didn't shift, didn't look up, didn't even pretend to consider it. "Not tonight," she murmured. Again. Those two words had become the quiet wall between us, a wall built over months of distance, exhaustion, and whatever else she wasn't saying. I nodded, even though she couldn't see it, pretending it didn't hit the same painful spot it always did, pretending it didn't feel like I was sleeping next to a ghost of the woman I used to know. I went to bed alone. The mattress dipped with my weight, cold, empty, unfamiliar. I stared at the ceiling, listening to her soft footsteps moving around the house long after midnight, knowing she wouldn't be joining me. I tried to tell myself it was stress or work or hormones or anything other than the truth I felt growing in the quiet. She wasn't trying anymore. The next morning, her best friend Emily came over. She had a habit of stopping by unannounced, a burst of energy in a house that felt permanently dim. Emily was everything my wife used to be, warm, easy to talk to, quick to laugh. She hugged my wife at the door, and for the first time in weeks, I saw my wife smile like she meant it. It stung more than I expected. They sat at the counter, coffee cups between them, while I made breakfast. Their laughter bounced around the kitchen like sunlight, and I found myself glancing at them more than I should. Every time my wife spoke, Emily watched her with a softness that made something twist in my chest. And every time I spoke, Emily's eyes flicked toward me a little too long, like she was studying me, trying to read something beneath my words. My wife left for an afternoon appointment, promising she'd be home early, though that phrase had stopped meaning anything months ago. Emily stayed behind to help me clean up. She tied her hair up, rolled up her sleeves, and the kitchen fell into a quiet rhythm, water running, plates clinking, her soft hum blending with the sound of her bracelets tapping the counter. "You look tired," she finally said. I almost laughed. "I am. Not work tired," she added, turning toward me. "Lonely tired." The words hit too precisely. I felt exposed, like she'd peeled back something I'd tried to keep hidden. "Us in." I didn't answer, but she didn't need me to. "She keeps saying no, doesn't she?" I closed my eyes for a moment. "Yeah." Emily didn't gloat, didn't smirk, didn't lean into the drama. She just nodded, her expression softening with something between sympathy and frustration. "You deserve more than silence," she whispered. For a second, the room felt too still, too quiet, like something was shifting in the air, something fragile and dangerous. I leaned back against the counter, unsure where to place my hands, unsure how close I should stand. Emily stepped toward me, just one small step, but enough to make my breath catch. "She doesn't see what she's losing," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I opened my mouth to respond, to say something, anything, to cut the tension tightening between us. But Emily lifted her eyes to mine, and the moment anchored both of us in place. Then she leaned in slightly, her breath warm near my ear, her voice trembling with something she'd been holding back for far too long. "I would," she whispered. It was a simple sentence, but it felt like the whole world shifted under my feet. My heart slammed against my ribs. I didn't move, didn't breathe. I wasn't sure if the shock came from what she said or from the part of me that wanted to believe it. She didn't touch me. She didn't try to kiss me. She just gave me a look filled with raw honesty, the kind you don't offer unless you've been holding it inside for a long time. Then she stepped back. "I shouldn't have said that," she murmured, shaking her head slowly. "I just hate seeing you hurt." Before I could respond, she grabbed her bag. "Just remember," she added softly, "being rejected doesn't mean you're unworthy." And then she walked out the door, leaving me standing alone in the living room, every cell in my body buzzing with the weight of what almost happened, but didn't. That night, when my wife came home and kissed my cheek without noticing how distant I felt, I realized something painful. She hadn't sensed a single thing. Not my loneliness, not my breaking point, not the fact that someone else noticed what she didn't. She said again, almost on autopilot, "Not tonight." But for the first time, I wasn't hurt. I was numb. In the days that followed, Emily didn't text, didn't call. She respected the boundary I hadn't been bold enough to voice, but her words lived in the back of my mind, echoing in the quiet places where my marriage had grown empty. I would. It wasn't temptation anymore. It was a mirror, a reminder that someone out there believed I was worth showing up for, even when the person I loved most no longer did.